Welcome to my YouTube channel, Manamini Nalumi Mental Health with Anne. September 30th, 2021 marks the first Truth and Reconciliation Day, which coincides with the Orange Shirt Day. This signifies the tragic legacy of the residential schools, the missing children, the families left behind, and the survivors of these institutions. Today, in the Real Life Hero section, I have with me Quentin Pipestem, a very special guest. He is an indigenous hope dancer who has won several awards around the world for his amazing art. Join me in conversation with Quentin Pipestem to understand his path and his journey so far. மனமேனி நலமே நேர்களுக்கு வணக்கம். எல்லாரும் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கீங்கன்னு நம்புகிறேங்க. செப்டம்பர் 30 போன வருடம் நேஷ்னல் ட்ரூத் அண்ட் ரெக்கன்சிலியேஷன் டேயாக முதல்ல அமைக்கப்பட்டது. இது இந்த நாட்டு மக்களுக்காக நடந்த அநியாயங்களை அங்கீகரிக்கிற முறையில் அமைக்கப்பட்ட ஒரு நாளுங்க, ஒரு தேசிய நாள். இந்த வருஷம் செப்டம்பர் 30 என் கூட நம்ம ரியல் லைஃப் ஹீரோ செக்ஷனில் இருக்கிறவர் பேர் குவென்டின் பைப்ஸ்டம். இவர் ஒரு இண்டிஜினஸ் ஹூப் டான்சர். இவரோட கலை உலக ஃபுல்லாக இவருக்கு பல அவார்ட்ஸை வாங்கி கொடுத்துருக்கு. வாங்க இவர் கூட பேசி அவரோட வாழ்க்கை பயணத்தை பற்றி நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். Hi Quentin, thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel Manameni Nalame Mental Health with Anne, a bilingual channel in Tamil and English. It is a great honor, Quentin, to have you in my Real Life Hero section today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I feel honored to be considered a real life hero. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So am I. It really is an honor, Quentin. And I'm super excited for the interview that we're going to do today. So, Quentin, why don't we start by you just telling us about yourself?
Okay. Well, first of all, I am First Nations. My people are what we're called the Tsuut'ina Nation, which is located southwest of Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And our people are, we say, people of the Great Plains. We're the ones that lived in teepees, followed the buffalo, lived a nomadic lifestyle. But our origins are actually originate from the Dene, which is up north. And the Dene go from as far as the Northwest Territories all the way down to Arizona with the Hopi, the Navajo. These are all considered Dene. And then that's my background and of who I was. Yeah, I was born Tsuut'ina, and that is who I am.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about your family and what life is like growing up.
Okay, well, and I grew up with my mother and two brothers. I did not know my father. He had passed away when I was very, very young. And it was, yeah, unfortunately, my childhood was, how do I say, went through its difficulties with the social issues. My parents, they had came from a generation where alcoholism was a major part of their life, and I believe that's how my father passed away. Then, yeah, my childhood was part of it, to where we were also taken away by child and family. And I believe this is where things changed for my mother on my mother's side, because after that, she got us back by being sober, and so we ended up probably for the second half of my childhood. I was raised by my mother, who raised us in a healthy, happy home with two of my brothers, and we did move around a lot, off and on the reserve from the Tsuut'ina, but we always came back home to Tsuut'ina because that's where, where we're from. And then, yeah, and some of my fondest memories of my childhood were living with my two my brothers, my young older brother and a younger brother, and my mother. And there was just the four of us. And yeah, it was a good childhood after the initial start, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Quentin, for sharing with us and being willing to be vulnerable. Really appreciate it. And as you're speaking, what stands out to me is the love of a mother.
Yes, yes. I mean, my mother really changed. She really showed her love for us by getting us back from, the child and family, and she did that by, uh, overcoming her alcoholism. And but that was something that was back in the day was a major problem for a lot of First Nations, and even still to this day, wouldn't say a major problem, but still is a problem for a lot of First Nations communities. And so my mother, I'm really proud of her for doing, what she needed to do to get us back, and giving us a really, really good childhood. And so yeah, and so I'm really proud of her for that.
Yeah, beautiful. Quentin, what did the young boy Quentin dream of? What did he aspire to be? What were his dreams?
Well, as a young boy, to be honest, I didn't really aspire that I can recall. Like I didn't
Mhm.
think of anything being like a doctor, lawyer, or astronaut, any of those kind of things. Um, Mainly because we moved around a lot, and it was a matter of just enjoying our time with the family. And I really didn't have any aspirations for, future wise. I was just living, I don't want to say surviving, but just living day to day. Um, it wasn't until probably my early teens that I actually found my passion and realized from an early age, at the age of 16, that I knew what I was going to do for my life. And from that moment on, I just followed that path.
And what was that?
Oh, that was a First Nations performer, specialized as hoop dancing was actually my biggest passion, is my biggest passion still to this day. But it was more than just hoop dancing. It was I started off as a summer job opportunity to work with a native dance theater company that was based off Tsuut'ina called Red Thunder Native Dance Theater. I remember seeing this dance company at the 1988 Winter Olympics. They were performing at the Calgary Olympic Plaza at that time, and it was during the medal ceremonies. And at that time, I wasn't performing. I just seen them on stage, and I thought, wow, it would be so awesome. I thought that was so awesome. And it just so happened that following summer after those games, uh, I had the opportunity to start performing with them as a summer. It was supposed to be just a summer thing, but like I say, once I started, I just realized that's what I was meant to do, and yeah, and that pretty much was my my life work. I guess has been a performer.
Absolutely. And you and I met, right, when I saw you performing during the Stampede breakfast, and it was amazing. Like you are an amazing performer. Like I was in total awe. So tell me about this art. Like what does it mean? What does it seek to convey?
Well, okay. First of all, as a native performer, I will get to the hoop dance in a second. One of the passions that that really drew me to it was the art of storytelling. And in a way, this is a continuation of our traditions as a nomadic people. We living a nomadic lifestyle. Um, how we preserved, how we passed on our traditions, our values, how we preserved the stories, was through an oral tradition. And so being an oral tradition, which meant well, storytelling, music, and dance was how, you know, we passed on from, you know, from ancient times to generations to generation to generation to, you know, future generations. Is so being a storyteller, native performer was a continuation of that. And then part of that, I also learned how to do the hoop dance. And the hoop dance, for those that don't know, is where I literally dance with hoops. They're not hula hoops, but they are similar in the size and not as big. And I could dance. I started off with 5 hoops, and then with these hoops, you create different designs and symbols that represent the designs and symbols represent different things to different dancers. And for myself, it represented the things in nature that helped the warrior in his lifetime. The things like and like example, like things that in our way, we believe everything has a spirit. So plants, animals, birds, everything has a spirit. And so by and so in this story of this warrior, he drew from those the strength from those different spirits. And by through dancing, I show those different things in nature, like I mentioned, plants, animals, birds. And so that's the basic idea of the hoop dance. And yeah, like I say, once I started it, I realized that was my passion. And to make a long story short, I started with 5 hoops for 1 year. I taught myself how to move to do 10 hoop designs and patterns. For my second year, my third year was I went up to 21 hoops, and I danced the whole year just with 21 hoops. And then my fourth year, which I turned 20 by this time, I was up to 31 hoop designs. And I was dancing full time with this theater company, traveling throughout Canada and USA, performing all the time. So my skill was really it was really refined. And so at this time, that's when I heard about this contest they have in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's called the World Champion Hoop Dance Contest. And world champion in a sense of within the native world. So we're not talking like, you know, Brazil, you know, Europe, you know, we're just talking like within the native world. So all native, you know, within the native world, North American First Nations came together, and they, you know, they just competed with this hoop dance. And it was the first time I went down there for the experience, not realizing, you know, where I was as a hoop dancer. But I guess I must have been at a pretty good place because I actually won that year, my first world championship. And then from there, I won the second year after that in 92, well, 91, 92, then 94. So, yeah, I'm considered a 3-time world hoop dance champion. And once you become world champion, especially back in that day, I mean, that was like the beginning of my career. I mean, after that, I started traveling literally around the world performing. So yeah, that's my story of, like, you know, the basic story, short story of who I am.
Yeah, thank you. That is amazing, right? Like to be a world champion, and I mean, it shows your love and passion for the art. And I've seen you perform, and I don't think that passion has gone away.
No.
So you performed a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, before I used to, it was a my profession as a full-time native performer, and it was right up until 2016. I was actually still performing full-time in a Western town theme park in north of Berlin in Germany. And then, so that was probably for over 30 odd years. I was performing full-time, 35 years maybe, as a native performer, performing. That was my livelihood. And then I came home and realized, okay, you know, I do enjoy performing, and then, but I also needed to start grounding myself at home, and for other reasons also, uh, um, which I think we're going to talk about. So I came home, and I've been home since then, where I really, yeah, reconnected with um, not only myself, but you know, with my family, with my nation, our people. And now, yeah, it's still now I still perform on occasion, you know, when asked and requested, but it's no longer my, like, you know, my need to perform as a profession. So it's more of like a I don't want to say hobby, but it's more of just a, you know, casual passion of mine.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then tell me about what makes you proud to be Native.
Proud to be native.
Native, yeah.
Native, when you say native, that's a general term for all First Nations people.
Yeah, yeah.
Me, I'm proud to be Tsuut'ina.
Tsuut'ina,
And
yeah.
Tsuut'ina is the name of my people.
Oh, yeah.
And we, you know, I like to believe, I mean, I do believe that, you know, we Tsuut'ina are unique, and as unique as any other culture, any other country, in a way that we have our own language, our own history. We had, you know, we had our own um, livelihood, lifestyle traditionally in the past. And so, as Tsuut'ina, you know, being from the Great Plains and being warriors, you know, our way of life in the past,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think about, I draw on this history from, you know, of our old way of life, and it gives me strength, and it gives me pride. And
Mm-hmm.
an example for that is like as a, in like for the our in the old ways, we had a honor system. And so where our warriors, you know, they strove for honor. And so you achieved honor by, you know, your war deeds, or by hunting, by how you looked after the people, you know, how, you know, you protected the people. And and the more honors you achieve throughout your life, the more respect you got from your people, and the more respect you achieved, the higher your status would have risen in the nation. And um so in those ways, in that way, that really old way of being, you know, it gives me great pride. And you know, to think of how, you know, our warriors were back then, how they strove for these honors to help, you know, um their people. They achieved them by helping them, their people, our people. And then by doing so, then yeah, that's how, you know, you got received the respect from the people. So this is something that I still strongly believe in today. And having this pride of being in a warrior or old way, coming from this old ways of life, really does give me strength. And you know, it is who I believe that I really am. So being Tsuut'ina is what gives me pride,
Mm-hmm.
and our old ways of life, how we, you know, we lived before the arrival of the, you know, our native people. You know, just that alone is you know, makes me proud of who I am and where I come from.
Absolutely. And I think that's very important for any human being, right? Quentin, to know your roots and know where you are from, and that identity is very
Yes,
important for any individual. Yeah, and I'm happy you're aware and you know that, and you're able to embrace it on a day-to-day basis. Quentin,
yes, identity is very important, and that
important.
is, but they're not just identity, but like, you know, the, like you say, the roots, the
Mhm.
true identity. There is a thing that is like, you know, true identity, and
Absolutely.
just the modern day identity. You know, that's there's
Exactly.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.